In the church. Give me a big amen. Amen. You guys can be seated this morning. As we are wrapping up this series called FocUSed, we are in this relationship topic. If this is your first time here, welcome to Roots Church. We want to welcome those that are watching online as well. I love this series. I absolutely love talking about marriage and relationships and parenting. I'll just go ahead and plug it now. Next week, I'm going to be talking about my house. Now, not my personal house, but that's the name of the series, called My House. So I hope you come back for that. But today, let's finish our relationship topic, our marriage topic, talking about friendships. Your spouse should be your best friend. And I'm going to give you 7 things to help develop one of the greatest relationships that God has given us availability to, and that is in marriage. And so if you're in here taking notes today, I'm going to go kind of fast, so probably we'll post these later for you so you can go back, or you can go back and listen to the replay. But let's talk about number 1. The most important one is being faithful. How many would agree you got to be faithful in your relationship? Okay. I'm not just talking about being faithful in your relationship of her or him being the only one in your relationship. I'm talking about also being faithful in your friendship. You don't get to pick and choose when she or he is your friend. They should always be your best friend. And so we got to think about that. It says in Proverbs 17:17, a friend is always loyal, and a brother is born to help in time of need. So when you have this friendship, they're always there for you. They're loyal. They're never going to leave you, even in the tough times, because that's when friendships are mostly gained or lost, is during the hard times. And believe me, in the last year and a half, my wife and I have really gone through a very, very tough time. I'm not ready to share the full story from this platform just yet with all of you, but there are many of you in the room that probably know what we've been through. And I can tell you that situation has put a major strain on our relationship. And going to counseling every single week, trying to figure out how we can navigate what's going on. I got to tell you today, I got emotional in the first service because after coming through what we've been through, we are stronger today than we've ever been. We are happier today than we've ever been. And it takes us fighting and being faithful to one another in our relationship and knowing that my wife is the most important thing to me. No situation, no circumstance can keep me from loving my wife or being faithful to my wife in our friendship. But at the same time, it has helped me recognize, because we hadn't been through something this traumatic in our 26 years of marriage until about a year and a half ago. And it shredded us into the place of just, we had to be together. This is one of those things, I'm telling you, it would tear marriages apart left and right. It can, and I'm sure there's many of you that have gone through certain things in your life that could have easily ripped your marriage apart, but you said, no, I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to give up. Proverbs 18:24 says, there are friends who destroy each other, but a real friend sticks closer than a brother. It would have been very easy to allow maybe things or people or friends to split us up or divide us. But her and I, we stuck together. And what we did, honestly, let me tell you what we did. We blocked out everybody. And this is the one thing that I've learned, because I used to say this all the time. I used to say, I know what you're going through, and I can understand, and here's what I would do if I were you. And I have learned through my circumstance that I cannot say those words anymore. I can never understand truly what you're going through, and I can never say what I would do if I were you. Because if you're have not been there in whatever circumstance, whatever situation you might be going through, we will never understand. And here's why. Because I don't fully know what led up to that. I don't fully know what kind of relationship you may have or may not have. I don't know a lot about your family. I don't know a lot about your past. And so all those things, even though some of us can go through the same things, our response is going to be very different because of what we've gone through. And so now it has changed my perspective. It has changed my views on just really being there for somebody and really not knowing fully what maybe I would do until I'm actually in that position. But out of our situation, what my wife and I have done and what my family and I have done is we have just blocked everybody else out when it came to that, and we had focused on us and God only to allow us to make decisions and figure out how we're going to work through what we did. Because one of the biggest things that I wanted to do was make sure that I was above reproach. I wanted to make sure that I was going to take the high road no matter what. That was my goal, and it was very difficult. It's difficult sometimes when you're going through things to take the high road, but I'm thankful that my wife was with me. I'm thankful we had a life coach help us through it. We talked to her today, and she says all the time, I cannot believe you guys are where you are with what you've gone through and what you've come out of, all the different things that you've navigated, not only your personal situation, but also the church and people leaving and people saying things on top of your business and all the changes that happened in your business. And then now here we are building a house. My daughter's getting married in a few months. There's all these things. And I'm telling you, without a best friend in your life, it makes it hard to get through those things. And you can't always rely on, like for me, I can't always rely on my guy best friends. And she can't always rely on our girl best friends. What we need to do is rely on each other because nobody knows each other as well as what we do. And so this is what's going to test your relationship. The question is, can you get through the hard times? Do you feel like you have that kind of friendship? That video that you saw in the very beginning with the Bruno Mars song, that's the fun side of us, right? Those are the times. I saw some that are in their marriage photos. I saw some that are being silly and funny. What we should have done is done a different song and showed all of you fighting. But really what we want is that type of friendship of what we saw in that video. Is the good times. And I believe there are a lot of good times. And one of the things that helps us be faithful in our friendship is regular dating. Having real, regular conversations. Not conversations about, hey, who's picking the kids up? Don't forget I got a doctor's appointment and we're going with so-and-so out to dinner this weekend. I'm talking about having real, regular conversations. How are you doing? What's going on in your life? Is there something I can pray for you about? Is there something I can do to help you? Having those type of real conversations and going on real dates. I can tell you my wife and I had gotten away from that from the last year and a half until about 2 months ago when God was just stirring in me trying to figure out what has gone wrong. Why do I not feel as connected today as I did before? And realizing that we weren't taking time for each other. We weren't going on our regular date nights that we set up. And so Aaron and I talked and we said we got to get back to our Friday date night. So over the last couple of months, we've had to change a few things to get us back to that. But thankfully, we've been doing that. And so every single Friday, all day, we hang out together and we just go and we do things. Sometimes it's a coffee shop. Sometimes it's just going to a place that we've always wanted to visit. Now we've decided to add a little flair to this, and that is every single Friday we're going to find a place to eat that we haven't eaten before. And so we're making a list of all the places that we like because God knows we can't hardly remember them when you go every week to a different place. Because we went this past week and I said, what was that place a couple of weeks ago we went to? It was right in this area. And she goes, I don't remember. And I said, we got to write these down. And so we started writing them down, but we're going to places that we've never been. And we're beginning to have more conversations than we've ever had. And this Friday, we decided that because we're building a house, we need to go buy some lighting. I don't know if you've ever bought lighting lately, but there's like 100,000 different kinds of lights to buy. We needed 3 specific pieces to go over the dining room, over the kitchen bar area, and then also over this foyer area. And so I had this thing set up about looking at lighting and looking at furniture and things like this. And so we went on a day date, and we started hitting all these places, having lunch and doing some things, and we went into Metro lighting. There's lights everywhere when you walk in. And of course, it's like the Auto Trader commercial. You got to kind of trim everything down to one specific thing that you want. So we said, okay, we know we want black fixtures. All right, that makes it easy. And we know we want more modern contemporary. Okay, where's that section at? Because we don't want the gold, we don't want the Victorian style or the country, whatever. That's just not us. And so we found the section where all that was, and then we said, okay, well now they're all LEDs, so now we want to make sure it's a 3000K warm LED, not like 6000K. I mean, it's just like confusing because, your light bulbs all got to match the colors. So we walk in, we're looking, and she's going, okay, well, I like we like the linear look, and we're talking about the linear lighting, and she's like, I like this one, and this one's round, but it still has the cylinder look because everything has to be so cohesive, and I'm going, I hate that word, cohesive. Cohesive. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be a long moment. But I'm here for the ride, and I'm going to be patient. So I let her go through, and we look at these lights, and we go through the whole place, and we realize the one section we were in was the section, and she goes, I really like these three. And I said, you like these three? She said, yeah. I said, so you're good with these three? She said, yeah. I said, let's get them. Because that was the fastest shopping for lighting in our entire existence. And we're walking out of the store, and she goes, that was fast. She goes, did you pray for this? And I'm like, yes. Because, building a house with your partner can be a struggle. The good thing is Aaron and I have a lot of the same taste, so it makes a huge deal. But we go in, we buy this, we leave, and it was just that easy, that quick, and it was just amazing. Somebody give God praise for that. We're still married today. But regular dating, and then we go to this restaurant, and then we end up at this other place, and we're sitting there in front of the fireplace, and we're looking at that going, I like the way this fireplace is. We need to design this, and we're talking about this. And then a subject came up, a very sensitive subject, something that we've been dealing with. And I knew I had to just listen and not defend and not fix. And I pretty much allowed my wife to just express what she was feeling in the moment. And I was sitting there trying to figure out what I was going to say. But not only what am I going to say, but how am I going to say it? And we went through this conversation, and later, I could tell it was really getting to her because her neck started getting splotchy. And that is my sign. That never used to happen, did it? We talked about it. She's like, that never happened. I said, it's a good thing. I prayed for that too. That way God would show me when it's time for me to settle down. And so she gets up, goes to the bathroom. She comes back, and I'm like, did you have to get away from it? She goes, no, not really, but it did help. And then we're sitting there, and she goes, let's just celebrate something for a moment. Let's celebrate that we just had this very tough conversation, and we never fought one time. And I thought, you know what? Yeah, let's do that. Let's celebrate that, because I'm telling you, the subject was super sensitive to her and I for a very long time, but we had this great conversation. It was a real, raw conversation on a day that we went on. These are the things that I'm talking about by being faithful with your spouse, of being best friends. Your spouse should absolutely be your best friend. And I can tell you, if you're working too much or spending too much time with other friends or hobbies, then this can hurt your relationship and your friendship with your spouse. You got to have those things. Don't get me wrong. I love my hobbies. I love doing things. But my wife and I try to find things that we do together. When I do a Prepare and Rich for a couple that's getting ready to get married, we talk about those hobbies, those interests that we have together, and we work on doing things together. I go do things that she likes, she does things that I like, and then there's times that she goes and does things that I don't really care for with one of her friends, and the same thing for me, but we mix it all together. It's just we can't get out of balance with those things. Here's number 2, is believing in each other. James 2:23 says, and so it happened just as Scripture says, Abraham believed God, and God counted him as righteous because of his faith. He was even called the friend of God. When you get to the place of trusting and believing in your partner, you can solely believe in them and speak into their life. This is one of the things that I struggle with early on in our marriage, is it's not necessarily maybe I didn't believe in her, but that's sure how it came off. I remember a time when my wife wanted to do photography. She was very good at photography. She knows what to look for. She knows how to set people up and position them, and what kind of background and what kind of lighting. And, I tease because when it's time to get family photos, I like roll around on the ground like I'm some ninja with the camera, because that's like my wife, man. I mean, she will just get the right shot with the right angle. And I remember when she wanted to do this photography business and start taking photos and weddings and portraits and all that. And in my mind, I'm like, man, that's a lot of work. It's every weekend. And so what I did is I said, hey, that's awesome. I think you would do great at it. However, here are the things that you need to be thinking about. And it was all the negative things. If you remember a few weeks ago, my wife and I, she let me know in my communication, even though I don't really mean it to be negative, what I'm trying to do is protect people. So it's like, when you go get gas, make sure you don't put diesel in it. You know, I'm giving the negative side of the situation. Hey, don't forget, when you go do this, make sure you don't do this. It's kind of like the downside. My wife is the complete opposite when she communicates. And so that's kind of how I was communicating was, hey, I think it's great that you want to do this, but just remember, when you do this, it's going to be every weekend, and you're going to spend hours on editing, and da-da-da-da, and you got to make sure. And it was just kind of a downer. And I really, after thinking about it, I really don't know if I really did believe in her, or at least I didn't show her that I believed in her. And guess what? She never went that direction. Maybe if I would have believed in her, maybe she would have went in that direction more. I don't know. I don't know what God had, but it really woke me up in the aspect that we got to believe in our spouses. Like I said a few weeks ago, that we need each other to bring out our spouse's full potential. If I would have believed in her in a different way, I might have been able to bring out her full potential in the area that she had passion for, instead of being a downer about it and bringing the negative side of what she wanted to do to protect her and to protect and to protect. That's kind of what I felt like. When we believe in each other, it's inductive, which I thought about that word inductive. How do I explain inductive? Now, I have a weird mind of how I think about things, and here's the word that I thought about, or here's what the analogy that I thought about, because, again, we're building a house, and we had to buy some appliances, and there's this new stove called an induction stove. And it's kind of cool because if you don't know what they are, it's a new deal. It's super safe. You can literally cook something, take your pan off, and literally you can put a child's hand on the stove, and it's not hot at all. You can actually put a chocolate bar right next to the pan that you're cooking on, and it won't melt. And the reason why is because it's inductive to the pan. It's this electronic magnet. I really don't know what it is, so you can't really, I don't know how it works. All I know is there's something inside the burner that connects with the pan specifically, and it's like instant heat. You can boil water in like 10 seconds. But when you take the pan off, it goes out completely. And it made me think about a relationship that when you believe in one another, it's inductive. It's instant connection. It goes the way it should go. Does that make sense? That's the way my mind works. I don't know if your mind works that way, but I was like, inductive. I like that word, but how do I explain that? That's my best explanation, is that when I believe in my wife, it's like an instant bond. It's like, boom, it just makes her flourish. It brings her to her full potential. That's how important it is that we believe in each other. And listen, I want to be around people that believe in me. Don't you? There's nothing worse than being around people that don't believe in you and are just like, I don't know if you can do that. Oh, I don't know if I do that. Are you sure you can do that? There's all this stuff. I don't want to be around those people. I want to be around people that encourage me and believe in me that I can do it, that I will do it, and that I should do it. And if there's anybody that we should do that with, it's our spouse. It's up to us, husbands, to speak life into our wives, believing in her. You know what this does? This heals them. What hurts them is not believing in them, or for them to feel less than. Sometimes because we think we're doing them the right thing by letting them know that shouldn't happen, they feel less than, like they can't do it. They're not good enough, or they can't do it as well as what someone else can. And that's very scarring in the relationship. Now, I want to be clear because I don't think that everybody can do anything that they put their mind to. That whole phrase that, oh, you can do anything you put your mind to. Listen, as much as that I would like to be able to sing, I can't sing. No matter how much I try, no matter how much I put my mind to it, I can't sing without auto-tune. Right? And so if my wife just kept saying, you can do anything, honey, you can sing, I know you can. Get up there on a Sunday morning and do a solo. She would be hurting me more than helping me because it would be embarrassing. So I do think there are times that you have to say things in a way that is not damaging, but in most cases, I think it's about believing in them of who they are. Yes, you are a good mom, and yes, you are a good wife, and yes, you are a good friend, and yes, I do believe you can do that. I mean, those are the things that our wives need to hear from us husbands. there's a lot of clout in that. There's a lot of validity in that. The women want security. And when they hear their spouses, their best friend, believing in them, it gives them security. It feels like they got somebody behind them, backing them, ready to catch them if they fall. Just like men need respect, and when women give men respect, it gives, without you even doing anything, it gives some type of a power to these men to watch how you just respect them, that they want to change. They want to do something to make themselves better because of how you respect them. It's the same thing, guys, when we believe in our spouses. Here's number 3, embracing each other's differences. We become friends that embrace each other's differences. All I can think about is my wife and I, we have a lot of differences. Now, let me explain the difference, though, between being compatible and embracing the difference. Because a lot of us, we want to be compatible, but compatible to me is having the same values, having the same morals, having the same religious beliefs, having the same goals in mind as a husband and wife, as parents, as grandparents. You know, we want to be compatible. What good would it be if she says, I don't want to do this, this is what I want to do, and then I say, no, I don't want to do that. And we got to be compatible in that way. But yet we can still be different. My wife is very detailed. She likes, whenever we think about the light, she was talking about how it had to be cohesive, everything cylinder-looking, linear, and all these things. And I'm just like, if it lights up the room and it's a black fixture and it looks modern, I'm good. But she's not good because it has to flow, it has to go together, and and she's very detailed about certain things, and we tend to, in a loving way, might make fun of her because it might take her a long time to do a text or a post or take a picture or whatever. But guess what? That's embracing the difference, because I can tell you right now, whatever she does, it's going to be done right and it's going to be done good. As much as it might annoy me to take a long time for her to make a decision about something, if I embrace the difference between her and I, because I don't have as much maybe passion or care in that area as what she might, I have to embrace and be thankful that we are different. And believe me, she could come up here right now and give you all the differences about me that she has to deal with. We're all different. As a matter of fact, there's 3 types of differences that we deal with. There's rejected differences, like this, what I'm just talking about, or what I'm getting ready to talk about. There's tolerated, and there's celebrated. Here's some of the rejected differences. You have 4 needs for a woman and 4 needs for a man. Listen to how different these are. A number 1 woman's need is security. Number 2 is open and honest communication. Number 3 is non-sexual touch. And number 4 is leadership. A man's number 4 needs, or number 1 is respect. Number 2 is sex. Number 3 is friends with his wife. He wants to be buddy-buddy. Come watch the game with me. Let's go hunting. Let's go do something together. And number 4 is domestic support. I don't know how much different you can be. That's why there's a book, Women Are From Mars, or Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. We are completely 2 different beings with 2 different needs. But yet, it's like 2 halves, but when you come together and embrace the differences between a man and a woman, it's like they come together and make one. When you can just embrace that difference, you come together and become one, and you become this unified front because you embrace it. The tolerated differences are the things that we do. For instance, again, honey, I'm really not picking on you. I'm just sharing stories, okay? One of the tolerated differences that her and I go through is like when it comes to healthy foods. My wife is a health nut. She wants to eat right. We tease about her eating celery sticks and carrots all the time. It's like rabbit food. She likes nuts, and she likes pecans, and she likes all those things, and she gets a wedge salad. I'm like, how do you eat a wedge salad? But we tolerate that, right? Not in a bad way, but she has a different viewpoint when it comes to healthy foods. She likes to do, essential oils, and I call that the voodoo stuff. When you voodoo with essential oils and you put these oils on, she'll come over. I said, man, I got a headache. She goes, come over here. I got some lavender. And then I'm going, I can't see. It's like burning. Come on, how many of you men have had your wife put the essential oils on you? You know, your tummy hurts. Come here, I got something for that. My wife opens up a bag, and it's like, which one of these? And then she rubs oil on your belly, and then it's like, just give me some Pepto. You know, I just want a Tums. I just want an Advil. So we have to tolerate each other. You get what I'm saying? There are tolerated differences. We're just going to have to deal with it. Here's what I tell her. I say, listen, just don't push your voodoo on me, and I won't push my cheeseburgers on you, and we will be okay. Am I right, honey? Shake that Bruno Mars hat. You know it. But then there are celebrated differences. Celebrated differences are things that we recognize in each other that are different, that we celebrate. I am thankful that my wife is a certain way. And without her being that way in our marriage, I don't know what I would do. I don't know what I would have. I'm very grateful for the differences that we have. And the more and more that I realize this, I mean, it's only taken me 26 years to figure this out, you know, and I'm still figuring it out. It does wonders to our marriage, because then I just look at her and I'm just like, I'm grateful that you are detailed. I'm grateful that you have such a heart for our kids. I'm grateful that that you see things that I don't see, because I don't know what I would do. So there's these celebrated differences that we say, I am glad you're on my team, because you being on my team, being different, helps us become a better team. Those are the celebrated differences. You're not friends with someone who's always criticizing you or putting you down, are you? You want someone who's encouraging to you. So there are moments that you might be critiqued on something, but if your spouse is always criticizing you or putting you down to where you feel like you're just never good enough, or maybe even they make you feel like you're a child, like you're one of the kids, those are things that are going to be very hurtful in the relationship. Which leads me to number 4, we got to be real and transparent. John 15:15 says, I no longer call you slaves, because a master doesn't confide in his slaves. Now you are my friends. This is what friends do. And since I have told you everything the Father has told me, so now you're at a different level of friendship. You got to be real and transparent. But to be real and transparent, you have to have the next one, which is number 5, and that is be a safe place of refuge. If there's one thing my wife and I have learned over the last 2 to 3 years, this is one of them. One of the things that we realized is that we were not creating a safe place for the other person to share and be real real and transparent in our relationship. We'd either take it personal, or we'd try to, I would try to fix something, or I would try to, make it more than what it was. And our life coach has really helped us create a safe place. A place that you can express how you feel in any way, shape, or form, and the other person just accepts that person is feeling something in that moment. Aaron and I were not good at this early on. I for sure was not good at this. But if you want to have a best friend, a person that can trust you, that they can confide in you, that they can share how they feel and know they're not going to be judged or criticized or made feel like they're not good enough, or maybe they're wrong for feeling the way they are. I can't believe you feel that way. We're better than that. Those types of communication, that's not a safe place. And when we went out the other night, I hope and I feel like I created a safe place for her to be able to express in the moment what she was going through. And she does that for me. And one of the nice things about it that we've learned about each other is we would say things, hey, I'm just letting you know I just need to vent for a moment. I just need to express what I'm going through. And that is a sign. That's what our counselor told us to do, is warn one another, so that way you don't go into fix-it mode for me. And so Aaron will say, okay, well, I need to share something with you, but I just want to get this off my chest. What that tells me is she just needs somebody to talk to get it out, and then she'll be good. How many of you know that you just getting something out of you that is hurting or burning in your soul, that you just need to talk about it? You're not looking for answers. You're not really looking for advice. You just need to get it out because it hurts. And then you're good afterwards, right? How many emails have you typed or text? Well, I'm going to let them know it. And then you sit on it because you know I'm a little bit angry. You come back the next day or an hour later and you reread your message and you're like, yeah, no, and you delete it all. That's sometimes what my wife and I need occasionally. We need to be able to vent to one another about something. Even if it's bad, about the way we feel about someone or something. At least we're not telling, someone else about it. We're telling our spouse. And I think it's really important having a safe place that you can go to. As a matter of fact, I got to thinking about this, and I asked myself this question: is my wife the first person that calls me when something's good or bad? Because having a best friend and creating a safe environment to be real and transparent, if I'm creating that, then when something good happens to my wife or something bad happens to my wife, I'm going to be her first phone call. And I can tell you right now, I haven't been, and I hope that I can be again. I have been in the past, but there are times where I have made her feel like less than because of maybe she was going to celebrate something that I just didn't think it was that big of a deal to celebrate. And the reason why is because it didn't affect me the way it affected her. But I'm learning no matter what, that I have to celebrate her and what she's going through no matter what, how it makes me feel. If she's excited about it, I should be excited about it. If she's upset about it, then it should upset me as well. And so you can ask yourself that question. Is your spouse the first person to call you when something good or bad happens? Because if not, we probably need to work on it a little bit. I know I want that for my life. Not being judgmental, but being a good listener, valuing what they say. Here's number 6. Be fun and creative and have a positive attitude. I've already read this one, but I'll read it again. Proverbs 18:24 says, one who has unreliable friends soon comes to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. Be fun and creative. Have a positive attitude. Years ago, I had one of my best friends. We were going on a hunting trip, and they said, hey, we were on the way to Illinois to go hunting, and he looked right at me, and he said, you're hard to be around. What do you mean I'm hard to be around? I'm like the perfect friend. That's literally what I was thinking. And he said, you're just negative. You're negative all the time. Everything's half glass empty, it's just you're pessimistic about things. And, you always have a side of you that if I'm positive, you want to bring the negative. And I'm like, man, I don't want that. And so, we're going hunting. And the first 2 days of hunting weren't very good because I was mad at him. I had to sit in a tree for hours thinking about how I was a negative person. I was waiting for a deer to come up in front of me. I'd blow that thing to pieces. And so, of course, I'm sitting there and like God is just stirring in me going, you are negative and you need to be more positive. And I'm just like, okay. So my wife can tell you, I have literally changed that. However, there's still a part of me, like she brought to my attention a while back that, like I told you earlier, that whenever when I'm explaining something about when one of the kids are going to go do something, I still have that negative tendency. And I don't know why I'm that way. I don't know if I'm just trying to protect or I just don't want to see, it's kind of like, it drives me crazy when it's like your parents, you're getting ready to leave and your parents say, be careful. No, Mom, I'm going to be rough and I'm going to just try to bash every car on the way home. Hello, of course I'm going to try to be careful. My wife did that to me yesterday, by the way. Remember that? Why I oughta. But that's what I do. The very thing I don't like is the very thing I do. You climb up the ladder. Be careful, don't fall. I mean, why do we say those things? You know what I mean? It's just, I don't get it why I do that. That's what I do. It's like, hey, when you put that ladder up there, make sure you do this and don't step over here. It's like, I don't know. I don't even know where I was going with all that. Oh, being positive. Oh, let me get back. Had to reverse there for a minute. Get back on track. Be fun and creative. Here's what I was trying to say. when you go on these dates, you gotta be fun and creative. Like, for instance, my wife used to go deer hunting with me. She didn't really like it in the beginning, but then she started liking it. We haven't been in a long time because of the church, really. We haven't had a lot of time, but she started going hunting with me. And then we went turkey hunting, and, and then there was times she'd golf with me because she knows that I like for her to go with me. And the best time she played golf was when she was like 9 months pregnant because she had to keep her arms straight. I'm like, we need to go more often when you're pregnant. The only thing is when she putted, she had no soft touch, man. It was how she drove the balls, how she putted. I'm like, it's 2 feet away. Tap it in. Gentle. Tell the ball to go to its home. You know what I'm saying? And then, she wanted me to go shopping with her. Go to resale shops, go to these secondhand stores, and I didn't like doing that. But I found out every one of those stores you go to has a bench, outside and inside. That bench is for the husband. So guys, there are places that you can go with your wives. Be fun, be creative, do things that each other like. That's one of the things I talk about in a Prepare and Rich, is that we got to find hobbies that we do together, but then there's also times we got to sacrifice. Be fun, be creative, have a positive attitude. Here's the last one, number 7, carry each other's burdens. Carry each other's burdens. Galatians 6:2 says, carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ. A real friend does not stand back and watch you go through something by yourself without coming to you, praying with you, talking to you about it, helping you. Have you been somewhere where you're starting to unload something and your friend's there and he's like, let me know when you're done. No, most friends say, hey, let me help you with that. Guys, let me help you with a code word, a code phrase. You ready? Man, I'm going to save your life right here. If you don't get anything, get this. Here's a code phrase. When your wife calls you and she says, honey, how you doing? What are you doing? Oh, I'm just sitting here at the house. Well, I just want to let you know I'm coming home from the grocery store. When you hear that, that means get your butt off the couch and wait for her at the door, because what she wants is help bringing in the groceries. Or you can do what I do. Kids, help your mom. Help her with the burden. My wife is she's like animal, man. Those plastic bags, she slides them all up on her arm. She comes in. Clean the counter off. I got to set these down somewhere. I know none of you have ever done that, but trust me. And then us guys think that we can do more, so we get more bags. Coming in with everything. We got water on our leg. Help carry the burden. That's what it means. It means help carry the load. I know I said I was going to end early. I can't help it. I love telling stories. I got one more to share that I thought was pretty impressive of myself, okay? I'm going to brag on myself for a minute. I haven't said this, and Aaron, you can help me, but it's got to be plus 10 years. 10 years or more. But the other night, so you guys listen, when I do these messages, they're really not for you, they're for me. And so here I am, studying for this series. I'm out of breath. Carrying the groceries. That's why I call for the kids. But in any case, the other night we had dinner, and I noticed Aaron over there doing the dishes, and I thought, I'm going to carry that burden. So I get up and I said, honey, you need some help with the dishes? And she said, what'd you do with my husband? Because I probably haven't asked that question in probably 10 plus years, have I? It's just something I haven't done. And so I go over there, man, and I'm just like helping her with the dishes. I'm scrubbing the dishes, and she's putting them in the dishwasher, which makes me think we need to find a new inventor of a dishwasher, because what doesn't make sense is why do you have to wash them and then put them in the dishwasher? Isn't that what the dishwasher is for, is to wash them? But we got to clean them up before we put them in there. But we did, and we cleaned everything up, and I went in and sat down, and I felt really good about myself because I actually helped my wife do something. Now, that might not sound like a big deal to you, but trust me, that's a big deal. Why? Because the Bible says that we got to carry each other's burden. Why should I put the burden on her that she's the only one that has to do that? That's what I'm getting at. A best friend doesn't sit back and watch you do something and allow you to do all the work yourself. They jump in. I got a really good friend of mine that would do anything for me. Anything for me. Now, all I think about is, would I do the same for my wife? That's what you should be asking yourself. Would you do the same for your spouse? Would you do the same for the person you're dating? Because that's what best friends do. I want nothing more than for us. It has taken my wife and I 26 years to be working on these things. Somebody told me earlier that they've been married 54 years, and I just was like, I'm not there yet. I'm not even halfway there yet. But I pray and believe that I will be there one day. 54 years of staying together, and they said we are best friends today. And I thought, what a testimony that is. Isn't that what we're all striving for? If I want that with one person, it is definitely my wife, my friend. To live life together, to talk about anything, to have fun together, to laugh and to cry and to, stress out when it's time to stress out and trust God and pray together. But these are just a few things that we can do for each other to create a best friend relationship. Let's pray. Father, we come before you today. We thank you for this time and this opportunity. God, that I am so grateful that you've laid all this out for us in your word, God, how to be a friend and how to be a husband and a wife, how to have relationships, Father. Just use us. God, give us strength, give us wisdom, give us patience, give us all the things we need, God. Give us selflessness. Let us think about one another. Let us focus on ourselves. And Father, we're going to trust you to do the rest. We thank you and honor you in Jesus' name, the church said. Amen. Now I know, podium's still there. That was supposed to be gone. I got just a few minutes to share something with you that is actually a burden for me that you can help. Hey, buddy. When you're trained that you can step back and it's not gone, the little things you don't even have a clue about. Any case, I do have a burden, but you can help me with this burden. But before I explain it, I want you to check this out. Watch the screens. So I got a couple of friends with me, and what I want to share is we have such an amazing kids area, our kids zone, and we are growing, and we've had tons of kids showing up, and I got my friend here, Layton, to help me do something. So before she does this, we have a need for people to serve in our kids zones. We have a need, and here's what I would say to you. There's many of you in the room today that have kids that don't serve back there, and it's a blessing for you to be able to sit in here and know that your kids are safe. There's some of you in the room today that serve back there that don't have kids, and I want to thank you for not having kids, or maybe they're out of the house, whatever, but you still have a heart to help these young people, because these people are the future of our church, they're the future of our world. And they're learning about God. They're learning memory verses. They're learning how to give. And so I've asked her to come up and recite one of the memory verses that she learned back there. Can you do that for me? All right, let me hear you.
Here we go. Act with justice, love faithfully, walk humbly with your God. Micah 6:8.
And I can tell you, that Corey is our kids director. Her and my wife have been working hard back there, but Corey's team has been doing an amazing job. We've been helping these young people learn about the Bible. They've been bringing their Bibles. They've been learning memory verses. And we have this massive need because we want to go to a Monday night. And you may be sitting out there saying, hey, I can serve a Monday night in the kids area. I'd love to do that. But the other thing, before I have Corey just kind of share from her heart, is this. We have 4 zones currently that are open, but we have 6 that we created, and we need to open up the other 2 zones. We can't do that until we get more volunteers. We ask our volunteers to serve 1 time a month or maybe 2 times a month where they serve one and attend one. But because we are kind of lacking in this area, because it unfortunately is one of the areas in the church that every church across America struggles with, and honestly it shouldn't. This shouldn't be an area where our church struggles to get volunteers. It should be an area where people say, you know what, I want to see these young kids get Christ too. And we've had kids get saved. We got one that's getting baptized. How many? More? 3 or 4 more?
And counting. We have a few more that need a class.
Go ahead and share just a little bit of your vision for this area and why you're in this position.
Well, that's very heavy and loaded, but I mean, like he said, really these kids back there they're the foundation of not only our world, but this church. I mean, what you're sitting in right now and what you experience every Sunday and everything that Roots does, I mean, those kids, they're going to do the same thing. So when we train them and we raise them and we're truly the hands and feet of Jesus back there with these kids, I mean, we get to do things like pray with them and teach them memory verses and show them how to use their Bible as their true sword. Isn't that right? When we open it up, we kick the enemy. Is that what we do? Yeah, we teach them powerful things like that to really be a part of that and that one-on-one time that you get with all ages, whether you're cuddling or doing memory verses. It's so fulfilling, and like Pastor said, we're growing. Our church is growing, which means our kids area is growing. We're pulling in benches. We're finding places to sit kids, different tables and stuff. So really, we need a little bit more manpower. We need your hearts to serve, and it truly is a blessing to be back there.
I think one of the things because we were kind of talking before service about why is it such a struggle for people to serve in the kids ministry. And I think a lot of times when you think of a lot of churches, they unfortunately view maybe the people as just bodies to fill a spot and not really think of it as a team or have a purpose of why we're back there. I mean, to see this young little lady right here memorize the verse, be able to recite it back to you. When we're walking out in the hall, I know they come up to my wife and they say, Miss Aaron, and they run up to her and they share with her the memory verse that they just learned from just this week. If you have kids in Zone 6 right now, you could go ask them what the memory verse is, and I bet they'd be able to recite it to you. How many parents do we have in here where their kids have come up to them and recite the verse? Let me see your hand. Yeah. And then we have the babies. You know, we're trying to split up the toddler area to where it's just babies, infant up to, I think, 6 months or crawling. And then we go from crawlers up to the toddler age. And so maybe you just say, hey, I just want to love on babies. I really don't want to teach, but I can love on a baby. I can change a diaper. I'm really good at changing diapers.
Well, not him, but, no.
Yeah, not me. I am not. No, you do not want me changing a diaper. Now, on that, though, I will say that we do kind of limit the men in these areas just because of our society today. We just don't want any chances, so we do allow our men to serve in zones. I believe it's 3, 4, or just 4 and up. I don't remember.
4 and up.
4 and up. So zones 4, 5, and 6, men can help out. So husbands and wives, we'd love for you to be a part of that. But listen, we need your help. We're growing, and we want to see our kids ministry continue to grow, and we don't want to burden the ones that are back there, our area coaches, our leaders back there. We want them to, have some help. And so I know there's enough people in this church. We need about 15 to 20 people from both services to say, hey, I'd like to do that. So if you want to do that, you can see Corey individually, or you can go to the info bar and talk to them and let them know on how to get connected. Is that cool with everybody? All right. Listen, give her a hand one more time as she goes. Next week, we start a new series called My House. Have a great week. It's going to be nice out there. We'll see you guys next time.